Welcome to our third and final installment of Abrahamic religions. We started with Judaism and then moved on to Christianity. If you're unfamiliar with either of those two religions, I'd encourage you right now to stop this video, head to the description, and go click and follow the videos for Judaism and for Christianity before coming back here to resume with Islam, which again is our third and final installment on Abrahamic religions. So here we go. Let's start it off with just the origins. Islam was founded right around the year 610 in the Common Era. 610 CE was technically, I think, 632, but we'll call it 610, right in that range. And it was founded by the Prophet Muhammad. Now, we need to clarify a couple of things right out of the gate. In the religion of Islam, Prophet Muhammad is not considered God, is not a God. Muhammad was a prophet and is the founder of the religion, is the most important prophet, I think would be safe to say, in the religion. But Muhammad is and was not God. In fact, we need to just make sure that's super clear because that's confusing sometimes. The God in Islam is Allah, which just happens to be the Arabic word for God. And we'll get to that in a second. The faith itself, Islam, means to surrender, as in to surrender to God. Again, Islam is going to be a monotheistic religion, just like Christianity and Judaism. And so we're going to see a lot of little similarities and threads running between Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. So as I was saying, it's founded by the Prophet Muhammad right around the year 610 CE. Its location of origin is a city that is known as Mecca, which is in the middle of Saudi Arabia. And so Mecca is not only the origin of Islam, but it's probably one of the most holy locations of Islam. There are a few others, Medina being one, and then Jerusalem, the city of Jerusalem being another. Where it spread, predominantly spread to northern Africa, Southwest Asia, and then Indonesia. Indonesia itself actually is the largest in terms of number of followers, is the largest Islamic country in the world. And you might be going, wait a second, Mr. Canton, Islam, Muslim, what's going on here? Are those the same? Are they different? Islam is the religion and Muslim is the follower. So just like in Christianity, Christianity is the religion, Christian is the follower. Judaism is the religion. A Jew is the follower. In Islam, the name of the follower is a Muslim. And so if you hear me talking and using those two words, that's what I'm talking about there. The way it was spread through trade, particularly throughout the region. We've got the map on the screen there just kind of showing the different time periods of when the religion spread, but it spread through trade, missionaries, who are people who spread religion, and then conquest. Most influential today, despite being a global religion, in fact, a very large global religion, the second largest religion in the world. It's most influential today throughout Southwest Asia, the Middle East, Northern Africa, and then, of course, Indonesia. And then, as I mentioned, the second largest religion in the world with roughly 1.6 billion, with a B, followers, making up something like, I don't know, 1 out of every 4 people on earth would be a follower of the religion of Islam. All right, let's dive into some of the beliefs and practices. I'm, again, not an expert. I myself am not Muslim, so I'm not an expert on the religion. So what I'm trying to share with you and present to you is the information as best as I understand it. The holy book is called the Quran, and you can see a couple of different spellings there, but that is the name of the Islamic holy book. You know, the Koran, the Quran, is kind of more of the anglicized, I butchered that word, sorry, spelling of the word, but that is the Muslim holy book that was relayed to the Prophet Muhammad. And couple of other things. Let's see here. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, it was relayed or revealed, I suppose, to the Prophet Muhammad by Allah, who again is the Arabic God, and it's the Arabic word for God, and it was relayed over the course of 20 to 25 years throughout the end of Muhammad's life. And so in the Bible, the Christian Bible, the Jewish Bible, the Old Testament, it contains a lot of stories that you're also going to see in the Muslim Quran. And so, like I said, there's a lot of similarities there. So, for example, in the Bible, you've got the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament of the Christian Bible. You have Abraham, who is an important figure in both Bibles and the founder of Judaism. And Abraham is considered a prophet in the religion of Islam. And so he is an important and revered figure. You also have Moses, who would appear in both Judaism and Christianity's holy text, but it's also found, Moses would also be found in the Quran, another prophet. And then Jesus, right? So Jesus, who would not appear in the Jewish Bible, in the Old Testament, Jesus is not really a revered prophet. In fact, Jesus is not really a religious figure at all to the Jewish faith. He is, of course, the founder of Christianity, but he is also an important prophet in the religion of Islam. Now, one big difference here is that Muslims do not view Jesus as the Son of God or, part of the Holy Trinity, part of the concept of God, but they do recognize Jesus as a revered and almost messianic, prophetic, religious, important figure. But again, notable distinguish, Jesus in the Islamic faith tradition is not God. As I mentioned, the Arabic word for God is Allah, and so Islam, just like Judaism and Christianity, it's a monotheistic religion with a belief in one God. And many religious scholars, I'm not claiming to weigh in here, but many religious scholars, Jewish scholars, Christian scholars, Muslim scholars would say that the God that all three of these religions worship and praise to is the same God. Now, obviously, there are some pretty notable differences in there. For example, in Christianity, that concept of the Holy Trinity, this idea in Judaism that Jesus is not the Son of God and is not a religious figure, but at its core, they would say that this is all the same God, or the God of Abraham, which is described in the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, and then again in the Islamic faith. And so we're seeing some overlap there. And then in terms of basic beliefs or core beliefs here, you have the 5 pillars of Islam. And this is not necessarily like the 10 Commandments in Christianity or Judaism, although it does have the number 5, but these are like, you think of a pillar, something holding up a building. These are the 5 pillars that are holding up the faith of Islam. The first one is Shahada, which is this idea that it basically proclaims that there's only one God, and that God is Allah. And so it's this idea of identifying right out of the gate that it is a monotheistic religion, which is very important to the faith. The second of the 5 pillars is Salah, which is prayer 5 times a day. Muslims are to pray 5 times a day. That doesn't mean they are to go to church 5 times a day, and they wouldn't call it a church because it's a mosque. That does not mean that they need to physically go somewhere 5 times a day, but there are prayers 5 times throughout the day. And when Muslims pray, they are to face Mecca. So no matter where you are in the world, you should orient yourself when you are praying towards Mecca. And so here we are, in Minnesota, which means that we would be veering kind of and facing, a little bit to the east. But now let's say, for example, if you were not in Minnesota, let's say you were in the United Kingdom, which is kind of more north of Mecca, you would face south. And let's say you were in South Africa, you would face more to the north. And so this idea that you are always to face Mecca when you pray. The third pillar is zakat, the idea that you should give to the poor or give alms to the poor, give to charity. The fourth is Psalm, I might have mispronounced that, I apologize, which is the concept of fasting during the month of Ramadan. So the month of Ramadan, we'll get to that in a little bit, but it's a holy month. It's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. And during that month, Muslims of a certain age, so basically your age, teenage and older, are to fast from sunrise to sundown, sun up to sundown. So no food or drink for the month of Ramadan, and then you break your fast in that evening with a meal in the evening, but it's an entire month-long fast. And so that might be similar to, say, Christianity, when you think of Lent in the lead up to the Easter season, where there's a lot of fasting and giving up of things. And so we see kind of, different purposes, different times of the year, but still, a similar type of thing that both religions would practice. And so that is fasting during the month of Ramadan. And then the 5th and final pillar of Islam is something known as the Hajj. And the Hajj is a pilgrimage, which is a religious journey, a pilgrimage to Mecca. And this is something that all Muslims are required to do at least one time in their life. And I could talk about this pilgrimage, but instead of me talking about it, we've got a video here that is going to kind of give you an overview of the preparation, the lead up, and the importance of the pilgrimage to Mecca. So as we watch that, just know that this is kind of something that all Muslims are asked to do. Typically, the Hajj would then take place during, at the end of Ramadan. But let's check this out. Let's check out this video to learn a little bit more about the Hajj.
Mecca sits in the western mountains of Saudi Arabia, in a sanctuary roughly 100 miles square. Since long before Islam, it has been considered sacred territory, where no one could hunt, cut trees, or fight. At the heart of the city is a great mosque called Al-Masjid Al-Haram, and at its center is the Kaaba. Muslims don't worship the Kaaba. They worship what it represents, the one God. Hajj takes place in and around Mecca. It is a series of rituals performed between the 8th and 13th days of the last month of the Islamic calendar. While circling the Kaaba is the final act of the pilgrimage, it is also the top priority for pilgrims when they first get to Mecca. For Muslims who have prayed in this direction every day for years, seeing the Kaaba for the first time is almost overwhelming. Now to the Valley of Mina, where the Prophet Muhammad stopped and rested on his Hajj nearly 14 centuries ago. This is a town that grows from virtually 0 to 2 million people overnight. At dawn on the next day, the camps stir with anticipation for the greatest day of the Hajj. 2 million people are off to the plain of Arafat. Some 50,000 vehicles clog the roads. Arafat is 8 miles east of Mina. It's the place, Muslims believe, Adam and Eve found each other after exile from Eden. And it's seen by many as a rehearsal for the Day of Judgment.
It's Judgment Day. All the trappings of life sort of fall away and you see these people in front of God Almighty. And that's all there is.
A strange quiet descends in the afternoon as people turn inward. It's called the Standing at Arafat. Only when the sun has set can pilgrims leave Arafat. Nearly 2 million people stand poised to move as soon as the sun dips below the horizon. The pilgrims move back toward the white tents of Mina, where tomorrow they will engage in a symbolic battle with the devil. Here, Muslims believe, God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son, but the devil challenged him not to. One story says, Abraham pelted the devil with stones 3 separate times, chasing him away. 3 stone pillars mark the spots where Abraham stood his ground. At a place called Muzdalifa, on the way to the pillars, pilgrims pick up pebbles to stone Satan themselves. The ritual is called the Jumrat. With all other rites complete, pilgrims return to Mecca for a grand parting visit. They have all earned an honorific title, Haji for the men, Hajjah for the women. Pilgrims arrive alone in a current of 1 million strangers and go home riding a spiritual wave of rebirth.
Couple of other things about Islam in terms of beliefs and practices. The main place of worship is a building called a mosque, right? So if Judaism has a synagogue, Christianity has a church, Muslims have a mosque. The name of the religious leader in Islam is an imam, which is an Arabic word for leader. So, I guess that makes sense. So imam is their religious leader, and then their main day of worship would be on a Friday. So I mentioned, one of the 5 pillars is prayers 5 times a day. And then on Fridays, I believe it's the afternoon prayers is what Muslims would attend. That would be kind of the equivalent or the analog to, say, Christians going to church on a Sunday or Jews going to the synagogue on a Saturday. You have Muslims, their main day of worship is on a Friday. And then just like Christianity had a schism or a split, the religion of Islam also had a split following the death of the Prophet Muhammad right around the year 660. And then following the death of Muhammad, there was a question amongst the faith about, well, who should be the next leader, essentially, of the Islamic faith. And there was this split with one group thinking that, the next leader should have been a relative of Muhammad, another group thinking, the community should decide and choose an advisor. And ultimately, we see 2 main branches. There are others, but 2 main branches in the religion of Islam. You have Sunni Muslim, which make up roughly 85% of Muslims around the world today, would identify as Sunni Muslim, and then you also have the remaining 15%, give or take, would be Shia Muslim, who thought that the kind of the next leader of the Islamic faith should have been Muhammad's, I believe it was nephew Ali. And so you've got two main denominations and branches within Islam. So very similar to Christianity, how you have different denominations but same core beliefs. You would say the same is true between Sunni and Shia, where you've got this idea of the Prophet Muhammad, you have the Quran, you have Allah, you have the 5 pillars of Islam. All of those main core beliefs remain the same, despite having some differences between the two in terms of practice and in terms of interpretation that we're not going to get into here. And then lastly, holy days. We had mentioned Ramadan previously. This is a month long. It's the Islamic month of the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, which I believe this year in 2021 comes in late April through early May. And it's a month of fasting, reflection, and prayer, and then you have a big meal in the evening when you break that fast. And then at the end of Ramadan, you have, I'd say maybe one of the most, one or two important holy days or holidays of the Islamic faith, when you have Eid al-Fitr, which celebrates the end of Ramadan. And this is going to be a massive celebration, with food and family and prayer and banquets, and it's just going to be a big celebration commemorating the end of Ramadan. And then the other main important holiday in the Islamic faith tradition, and as I understand it, the holiest of them is Eid al-Adha, which commemorates or recognizes Abraham, the same Abraham of Judaism and Christianity, Abraham's willingness to sacrifice his son. Islamic faith tradition would hold that Abraham did sacrifice his son, whereas Christianity and Judaism would hold that he was asked to, he was willing to, but didn't actually go through with the sacrifice. So again, seeing some overlap in terms of the themes and the stories between the two religions. And then this also comes, at the end of the Hajj, is when the Eid al-Adha would be celebrated. So there you go. There's kind of a lot of the nuts and bolts to the faith of Islam. Again, I'd encourage you to go back and check out Judaism and Christianity as you round out kind of our exploration and are looking at these big three religions, these three Abrahamic religions, these three main monotheistic religions of the world today. And then we are going to close out here again at the end of this. There is one other video that kind of goes through some additional info, 7 things you might not know about the Hajj. So we'll give that a watch. And then that'll be that. I hope you are doing well, and I will talk to you later. See ya.